Hello, I'm Jeff Harold with the Lake County Art League, and I'm here with Dani Gross, and we're going to talk art. And in particular, we're going to talk about her art. She is doing illustrations, and if you look over my shoulder, she's got a little guy sitting there that is part of one of Dani's works that we're going to look at in more detail in a few minutes. So, Dani, tell us about yourself, how you got started in the art, schooling, what you've been doing.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, first of all. Um, so I'm Dani or Danielle Gross. I have an Instagram and an Etsy account, Dani G Doodle, where I sell my illustrations, my posters, and my stickers. I've illustrated children's books, and I'm kind of just in the illustration space in general. I love to draw and I love to add detail and things like that. I started as I just used mechanical pencil on printer paper, and once I started getting commissions for paintings, I didn't like the lack of control I had. So then I eventually got into digital art, and that's how I started doing digital illustrations because it kind of combined the like the precision that mechanical pencils had with the color that I could use when painting. And I never really had any formal training. I went to school for advertising, which uh, sort of sort of combines what I'm doing now with illustrations, but it really wasn't as creative or as illustrative as I hoped it would be. So now I do illustrations full time, and my degree is in advertising. And I've been now since August working full time as an illustration artist, and I've done several different showcases. That's where I met you.
Yeah.
I have a solo showcase coming up, and I'm illustrating a children's book. So I've just got kind of my hand in a bunch of different fields of illustration.
Okay. Yeah, just as Dani mentioned, uh, we met over at the Starline Factory, which always has a Fourth Friday art event. And that's where we met. And if I remember correctly, one of your pieces won the People's Choice Award. And
Yes.
didn't you have another one? Did you have
Yes,
another
I
honorable
won.
mention or first place or something?
Yeah, I won honorable mention with that one as
Honorable
well.
mention. Okay.
Yes.
And I took first place in the photography in that one. And
Yes.
it's just a great time. I've got the Starling Factory Fourth Friday Art Exhibit info up here. Uh, Dani and I are going to be getting together with three other artists and do a little bit of a group show through March. And specifically, it'll be showing at the Fourth Friday event. Anyone that hasn't been there really needs to go there. It's a great time. I'm sure Dani will tell you about that too. A lot of excellent art, and they have at least two bands usually. Sometimes they have a solo, like a guitar or piano player up there. They got a couple bars, uh, and three different art shows basically going on. They have the main floor, they have the upstairs gallery, which is where we will be, and then they have the
Hmm.
Overland Gallery, which is going to be a show from, I think it's three or four of the resident artists.
Oh, very
So
cool.
uh, check out check out Starline Factory on Google. Just Google Starline Factory, and it's an amazing place. So if you want to see us, we'll
Yes.
be there. Okay.
We'd love to see
All right.
you.
Now, I got to ask you this one question. You're doing digital art, and if you go to Dani's Facebook page, okay, she's got some really nice videos there, little time lapse videos of her actually creating stuff. What is that you are creating that on? Is that like some sort of an iPad or something? What do you use?
Yes. So I use this is my iPad that I use, and for the videos where you don't see my hand, Procreate itself, which is the program I use,
Mhm.
records my every move when I start drawing on a canvas. So
Okay.
that's generally how I get the time lapse videos.
Ah,
Or I have kind of like a gooseneck arm that I can put my phone on and then record my actual hand
yeah.
drawing. So I kind of alternate between the two. Sometimes I get a little camera shy when I'm actually like physically recording myself, so I use the pre-recorded one mainly because I think it's just so cool to see the kind of the mistakes and the edits and everything that I
uh,
make throughout the whole process.
oh yeah, that's always good. You learn more from your mistakes, really. Uh,
Truly.
I do. I mean, I've done some videos for the Photoshop class I teach, and I just, when I goof up on them, I just leave it in there and I, correct it right there, and then I say, don't do that, But it also gives me an idea. Okay, these are things I shouldn't be doing. Uh,
Hmm.
but anyway, okay, fine. What was that? I was going to ask another question now. I forgot what it was. But yeah, you get that going, and it really works nice. Anyone who wants to go to her
Thank
Facebook
you.
page and watch the videos, they're really interesting. Plus, she has a lot of artwork. Now, we will go to your Facebook page in a little bit here.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I want to talk about your art in general. And you and I sent you an email and asked you to look up an artist, Alphonse Mucha, who was
Yes.
late 19th, early 20th century with the French Impressionists. And I'm not going to show you one of his works, but we'll look at another one of the artists there, Hollenstein, I think is how you pronounce his name. But that's where all his posters came from. I mean, these artists in that time period, the early 20th century especially, they were getting in and designing posters. And when I look at your work, I reflect back on that because basically that's the roots of that type of work. Now, you said you've looked at some of his work before, what have you? Uh, has
Yes.
that had a lot of influence on you? Have you gone back and looked at stuff like that? And,
I didn't realize the influence it had until you had sent me the name to look up, and then I kind of went down the rabbit hole of that whole Impressionist era and that, or the modern Impressionist era and the French. And I, like I had said, I majored in advertising in college, and we had a whole unit about these kind of the rise of posters and the validity of posters as artwork and how that kind of moved advertising in that time. So I was exposed to it and I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And I thought they were beautiful. And I didn't realize, because I was looking at it through an advertising lens, how much of an impact it had on my art. And I didn't have any names and I didn't have any, I wouldn't be able to tell you that that's who I drew
yeah.
from. But then when I looked it up and I saw the one, I think it's the Monte Carlo, and she's kind of looking up. That's been in my head since we studied that, and I was just wanting to recreate it. And then when I saw it, I was like, there he is! Like that's who I've been. These are the people that I've been drawing from because I love drawing women. I love drawing nature. I love organic lines and detail and all of that. And I didn't realize that these were the people that I was pulling from in that way.
Yeah.
So yes, to answer your question.
Okay. Okay. Let's look at it. I want to look at two things here. Okay. Uh, Go into your Facebook page. Now, this one you evidently just finished. Is that right? Whoops.
Say again, I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. This iris you just finished recently, I believe.
Yes, yes. It's my newest
Okay.
one.
Okay. All right. Now, this is so interesting to me because you look at, and I've got my cursor on here. I do that frequently. But you can see it's dark because my cursor's over it. Okay. But if you look at that, okay, and now I'm going to show you another one. All right. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, the similarities are just, okay, wow, right there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
it's some of the same color scheme and everything. And it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting that even though I don't know if you've ever seen this one before or or it influenced you, but to me it just shows that there are so many artists that you take one subject and they look at they look at stuff in different ways. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times they come out with some of the same like similar images.
Yes. I
You
think
know?
it's from the feeling that an iris gives you, the color, the femininity of floral in general, and it's just it isn't. I hadn't seen that before. I've seen that style before, but I haven't seen the specific iris poster
Yeah.
before. So that it's
Yeah.
amazing how it kind of comes together in the same way, and it's beautiful. I love that. I love that that's what you see when you look at my art.
Yeah, and like I say, it sort of takes me back there. I think yours more so some than some other posters that I've seen. All right,
Well, thank
so
you.
I think it's maybe it's in your genes. Maybe you're related to these people back there or something. Who knows?
I
Who knows?
must have been.
But the other thing is that also you get the different interpretations of iris, and it's fun to see how one person will take an iris and say, okay, this is how I see it, how I want to represent it. I like the idea of how you represented it as a female form.
Thank you.
Okay, iris
Thank
in
you.
a feminine form. Okay, I don't know if Hollenstein was trying to do that or not, because that was actually for a musical, was what the
Mm.
poster was for. All right, but I'm gonna do something I've never done before. I'm gonna show you one of mine. Okay,
Ooh,
and
please.
this is one that I just finished,
Wow.
and this was my interpretation of iris. But
Wow.
the thing I noticed is that uh, and this is probably common because of art training. I don't know if you had it, but the whole color wheel thing and using complementary colors. All right,
Mm.
and
Mm-hmm.
if you look at that, and then we go back and you see the color scheme, and you look at your color scheme, and they're basically the same.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so if you tell me you haven't had any formal art training, but have you ever studied like color combinations and color palettes and things like that?
Honestly, no. I mean, when I say I've had no art training, it's I've never been formally trained. Of course, I went
Yeah,
through like the classes, and all of that, like, middle school, high school. So I'm sure we've looked at a color wheel, but I
yeah,
don't refer to that knowledge when I'm drawing. I just kind of see it and I see what works well together. And it is always cool when that comes up, that kind of more technical conversation, because I realize that the way I'm thinking and the way I'm working is in line with the way that those more technical ways work with the wheel and everything. So I didn't do that color scheme because of that, but I think somewhere deep down I have an understanding of it or something, and that's why it's able to work out, and because it is beautiful. I mean, the purples and the oranges and the burnt
yeah,
umbers and all of that. It just works.
yeah, yeah. Oh, definitely. Uh, what else we got here, real quick? I'm gonna try to play the video in a minute. Okay, you've got something else coming up. Oh, this is February 25th, which is past now.
No, it's
Uh,
a Friday. It's this Friday coming.
oh, it's this Friday. I'm sorry, this Friday.
Yes.
And this is Able Saloon and Gallery. Salon, I'm sorry,
Y-
Saloon.
yes.
Salon and Gallery. Uh, I don't
Yeah,
read
so
things
it's my
very well.
first it's my first solo showcase. So
Yeah,
Able Salon and Gallery. It's in Libertyville, and it doubles as a salon, but she uses the event space as a gallery as well. And she
yeah,
has different artists, local artists, come in and basically fill the space and have their up for however amount of time. I'll have mine up for the month of March after the reception on February 25th. So it's a really really exciting opportunity.
yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah, we had Mirror Images was a salon that my wife went to, but the lady that ran that did the same thing. She had wall space there, and so she would have different artists come in and hang their work. So
So
it's
exciting! It's such a nice
yeah.
opportunity.
Oh yeah, it gets you gets you sane.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Definitely.
can I suggest someplace else you might want to check out? Is
Absolutely. Let me write it down.
is the Conscious Coffee in Libertyville. Actually, they have three locations: one in Libertyville, one in Barrington, and one in I think it's like Arlington Heights or something. Uh,
Oh, okay.
but they will hang an art. They will take an artist and they will have an artist show in one of those locations. And if they want to move to the other location, or three locations, they'll move them around. Uh, I was talking to the manager there. I haven't actually followed it up myself, but it's definitely worth an idea or worth a chat to see if they're interested.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I just wrote that down. That's great.
Okay. All right. And now we got a new favorite of mine.
Yes. I love personifying things. I just think
Yeah,
it adds such a level, and people have always commented on my eyes and the eyes that I draw, and I just love taking something inanimate and turning it into a whole character or a whole emotion or whatever comes through when I add a face. But I just love drawing faces and
yeah,
eyes and structures.
yeah. Well, I'll tell you what amazed me and surprised me in a way. Let's see if I can find it here. Where's your video? Okay, now I've never tried this before, so I'm gonna try playing this video.
Okay.
So we will see if it works. But it's a short one. See what happens. Oh, here we go. Okay, and it's you
Oh
doing the work.
yes.
And
Mm-hmm.
it just hit me when I was watching this. You do the same thing any artist does. I mean, you have to do the same thing with the lines, perspective, or whatever. Uh, some of your stuff is flattened out as a poster should be. I mean, that's the way it
Mm-hmm.
works. But oops, hang on here. But it just amazed me to watch these videos and see how much detail and everything you actually go through when you create these things. Uh,
Thank you. Yeah,
and
I think that's something that's a misconception with digital art that I even had before I started, is that it can do a lot of the work for you, and it can be more of like a graphic design tool for actual advertisements where things are
yeah,
perfect. But you can also bypass that and use it like you would paper and then add everything else, but now you have access to like every color you could possibly imagine, and you can
yeah,
erase things more easily, and it's just you can use it as a medium or you can use it as a digital tool, and I try to use it more as a medium because I don't want my work to lose the flair that it has when you're doing things more organically and not trying to make them perfect or using like a perfect digital pen or something like that. Like I want
yeah,
it to still have the error, the human error.
yeah. Okay. Now the problem I have. Okay, when I got to this point on your webpage, I couldn't get back to your homepage.
You know what? If you go ahead and click over to the right where it says Danielle's illustrations, if you click on that, just like on the actual name, it
Whoops,
should
whoops.
bring you back.
Hang on, I gotta find my. Oh, there we go. All right.
There you go.
I'm not a big
Perfect.
Facebook user,
The Facebook
in
page
case
is
you noticed.
the business page is not very user friendly.
Uh, I have to take exception with that because none of it is user friendly, business or not.
Very
I,
fair. Very fair.
I worked in IT for about 30 years and I designed several interfaces as well as implement them. And I can tell you,
Wow.
Facebook is a disaster. Okay, it, it really is.
I agree. I agree. And I grew up using it, and I still sometimes it's intuitive
Oh,
to like
oh,
how I think a website should work. Just I
yeah, yeah, and they change it. I've had people tell me that before that they use it. They said all of a sudden it doesn't work the same way or doesn't look the same way as it did yesterday,
yes,
and they change it.
exactly.
Okay, all right, enough about Facebook. Don't want to give them any more free advertising. It is a good. We are
Exactly. They've got enough.
we are using it. We are starting to do our Lake County Art League demos, and when I get it right, we do live stream them to Facebook, so people can watch them,
Oh,
as well as
cool.
our members are on Zoom, so the members are allowed to ask questions and make comments, what have you. Uh,
Yeah.
but our latest demo we will have out there as soon as I get the video edited. Uh, uh, and actually it was the video was Richard Medina,
Hmm.
uh, who was one of the 5 rising star artists of Chicago that were featured over at College Lake County. And
Okay.
so I did an interview with him, and he did a demo too. So both will be out there. The one's out there. The
Very
demo
cool.
will be out there shortly. Okay, now the little guy up here. See this little guy?
Yes.
The little waif. Okay, let's take a look at him. This is called the Moon Wrangler.
Yeah,
Is
the
that right?
Lonesome Moon Wrangler.
Lonesome Moon Wrangler. That's a tongue twister for me.
Yeah, it's a tongue twister.
Uh, where where did you get the idea for this?
you know, I I often say that most of my art is somewhat of a self portrait because I try to draw from how I'm feeling and try to turn it into a scene that kind of explains how I'm feeling when I can't get it myself. And I think at the time, I drew this one, I think about a little over a year ago. So I'm trying to get back in that mindset. But I believe at the time I was just feeling lonely myself. I always look at the moon. I love the moon. I think it's just beautiful and it's grounding and I just enjoy it. And I think I kind of put together the idea of feeling lonely and feeling kind of lost and hoping to reach something, hoping to reach a goal, which, like, the moon is unattainable. You can't physically reach it, but at the same time, it's always around. So I kind of just wanted to convey loneliness in a longing way. And this is what happened, what came of it.
Well, it's good. I like it, and again, I
Thank you.
really enjoy your color palette on these things. It's very
Thank
bright
you.
and vibrant, and that's what really draws your attention to it. And viewers looking, this is going to be one of the works that will be at the Starline Factory on March 25th. So, along with
Yes.
some others of hers.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. I appreciate. I really love that was something that was missing when I would only do um graphite mechanical pencil drawings is I love color and I've found that I have a keen eye for color combinations and I didn't have the patience for painting and I didn't couldn't get color with graphite. So this really like combined everything that I loved and it's just amazing because it's so nice to have everything all these colors right at my fingertips.
Yeah, and I agree with you as far as the patience for painting. Uh, I love the work, and we've got I've got artists, we got friends and the artists, we got art league people I see, and it just never seems it never ceases to amaze me that they've done this work, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I mean, uh,
Mhm.
people I have watercolors from people and actually I have a colored pencil drawing from Phil Shorn, who is
Oh wow.
absolutely wonderful. I mean, uh, the detail and everything, it almost looks like a photograph. He has such detail,
It's amazing.
and he teaches classes too on Zoom as well as some in
Mm.
person through like Adler and some places. So if you're ever interested in colored pencil drawing,
And
but
see like I
you're like me though. It's I don't have the patience. I don't have the talent for that part. You have the talent for it.
I don't have the patience.
Yeah,
I'll see
yeah.
I just
I'm
yeah, I know it's anti-artist of me, but I kind of hate getting dirty and like I hate like charcoal and like the dustiness and this just like the iPad just answered all my questions because it was like I don't want to have to get dirty because it grosses out me like the texture on me grosses me out and I don't have the patience to wait for something to dry to go to the next thing and I just want to create, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm the same way. And the other thing, I do digital stuff, obviously Photoshop, but I've been doing a lot of
Yeah.
digital, more abstract work, everything like the iris I showed you. And the thing I like
Yes.
about it is that you can do it in like layers. And so, if you do something, and I've actually, for one illustration, I actually created a dancer, copied from a photograph, but I drew it. And the thing
Hmm.
is, I had trouble drawing the hand. So what I did is I blew it up, I zoomed in on it, and so I made the hand big. And then when you zoom back out to normal size, it would turn out to be a very nice, delicate hand for the dancer. You know, and
Yes.
and the digital uh, media like that allows you to make corrections without having to go back and spend hours, uh, repainting or
Yes.
painting over something. Richard, the demo that we just had with Richard, and he does a lot of photo transfer. So he'll do
Oh,
photo
okay.
transfer of pictures, and then he'll add acrylics and what have you. Uh, but the process, has shown it. You do it, you set it up, and you put the stuff on whatever it is in the photo, but then you have to wait 24 hours for it. I am not a patient man. I
I need
I
that done
don't
now.
I yes, I am not necessarily a patient person, but
No.
I like to be able to do it, see it now. Now, and that's not saying, and you probably I would hope you're the same way. I think you'd be the same way. Patience doesn't mean that I object to spending a lot of time, because I've done some of my abstract stuff that I've I've stretched it out over like 3 or 4 days trying to get it the way I want it. And then for me, it's a matter of I print it off and I live with it for a little while and see what I like or don't like, and then I do it. I change it or what have you before I finalize it. And do you do the same thing? Do you like to live with something before you put it out there, or you just go ahead and put it out there?
It's kind of two separate feelings. Sometimes with an illustration, I do have to live with it and I have to kind of walk away from it, come back, it reintroduce myself to it, and kind of like what you're saying, and it takes, the course over the course of about a week or so.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just know that it's right after, I mean, hours and hours of work, and I've finally gotten it to a place, but it's been a big chunk of time where it's been nothing but working on it, and then I can say, you know what, I think I'm officially done. I'm going to ruin it if I keep if I keep adding to it. So it's kind of two separate like schools of thought.
Yeah, 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 I know that feeling too. I just was over at Starline photographing with Lorette and Carrie, and I got a picture I'm calling meditation. It's a little stool and it's a sort of oriental feel to it, anyways. And I've got it on the screen where it looks good. I'm not happy. I'm still not happy with the prints, so I'm still making prints of it and making changes to it to get it just right as a print. Hopefully I'll have that shown and ready for, that'll be one of a couple that I have shown over at Fourth Friday, that I'll
Oh,
enter in
cool.
the Fourth
Very
Friday
exciting.
event. Uh, so anyway, so yeah, for example, this guy, we were talking about this guy. So about how long would it take you to do something like that?
You know, let me look. It actually, that's the nice thing too. It does time me, so I can see.
Oh,
So I
no
want to give
kidding.
you an exact. Yeah, so I can look at all the. It tells me how many strokes I've done. It gives you like all that information, which is really interesting. Because when I get lost in a drawing, I'm like, oh, it probably took me 3 hours, and I look and it's like 11 hours later. But I had fun and I wasn't thinking about the time, so I didn't know. Hold on one second. Let me
Yeah.
find that. Where are you?
Okay.
Um. Oh, here it is. Canvas information. So that one took me 7 hours and 53 minutes.
Wow. So what is the actual software that you're using
I'm using
for
Procreate.
Procreate?
Procreate for the iPad.
Okay, I seem to remember hearing that. I've been using yeah, okay, I've been using a Corel Painter for some of the things I do.
Oh,
For example, go back to this guy for a second. Okay, these are both based off photographs, but the background, okay, is a combination of a Photoshop and then this. I don't know if you see this in the bottom part, the waterfall, which is what originally I was calling this thing. The waterfall effect actually was from using a Photoshop technique. But then I
oh
went
wow.
through and I did a photograph, and this background behind the iris, that I actually had it in this product called Painter, and I used a dry palette knife and scraped over the picture to create that effect of basically a dry palette knife.
Wow.
Now, it's a much more robust and more expensive than Procreate, but there are so many things you can do with it and that I've done with it. The one picture I did called Blue Moon, I did a couple of techniques. A lot of it was done in Painter and with photographs, a little bit in Photoshop also. And it put me in the first place in the fall member show, which
That's
surprised me.
awesome.
But the nice thing about that is that with that software, it's designed to be interchangeable with Photoshop. So I can be in Painter and I can save the work as a Photoshop file with the layers and
Oh,
everything
wow.
because it's all layers, and then read it into Photoshop, and I can use the Photoshop techniques and technology to add to it or enhance
Oh,
it.
wow.
But anyways, it's designed that way, and you actually save it, like I say, as a Photoshop file, and it transfers, and the layers transfer back and forth. And the only
Hmm.
difference is that sometimes some of the properties of the layers don't transfer. So
Yes.
I have a one setting in Painter that I use frequently that really enhances the image. That when I transfer it to Photoshop, it doesn't do it. There's
Ah.
stuff in Photoshop that I can do that really enhances the whole thing, and I can transform, and those do come back. So
Hmm. Interesting. It's
so
weird how it
it's
how it bounces between.
yeah, and it's really nice. Now it's not something that I see recommended. Procreate is one of those products that I think I've seen recommended as far as it's not overly expensive and it's good and just has just about as good as Painter. Okay,
Yeah,
so
the expensive part of it is getting the iPad. Obviously, the iPad is somewhat expensive, but the actual app was $10, and
yeah,
that's just a one-time fee, which is unheard of,
oh
in
yeah,
the
oh
digital
yeah,
space.
oh
And
yeah,
it's
yeah. I know,
incredible. I mean, you
I
have
know
so
that feeling.
many, you know better than anyone, but it's got so many brushes and you can smudge and blend and cut. It really it does a good job of mimicking other traditional mediums, which is so cool.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I like about those products. And I've actually tried it as far as actually making an image from start, like I did a mountain scene, and it actually
Hmm.
came out pretty good. However, on the one scale of 1 to 10 as far as quality of art I do by hand, I'm probably down there around a 3. I mean, I
It
can
takes
draw.
practice. It does.
Yeah, I shouldn't say that. I used to draw back in the 70s and 80s. Whoops, giving away my age here. But yeah, and actually I got pretty good. Uh, and I just
Hmm.
didn't carry it on. And I got into photography, started teaching photography and what have you.
Hmm.
Teaching. You ever consider teaching?
You know, yes and no. I've always heard of it because, of course, as an artist, that's kind of what people think of when they think of an actual viable job as an artist, as a art teacher.
Yeah,
I haven't actually considered it, but I'm not opposed to it at all. I enjoy teaching and training and talking to people about what I do, so I'm not against it all. But I've never
nice.
done it.
Yeah, I would say because I know some of the high schools, the younger kids, high school kids, what have you, they get into art, and this is what they're doing. They're doing digital art. Some of them, some are going to traditional art, which is fine. Uh,
Hmm.
but that's
I
some
was given
possibility of. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I would say I at my old high school that I graduated from asked me to come back, and I did like a little presentation on what I do in
Yeah,
Procreate, and I kind of walked them through it because it was a unit that they were doing was with Procreate with the iPad. So
yeah.
I had a 15-minute segment where I spoke and taught a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you right now. I'm gonna corner you someday, and get you to do a demo for the Art League. And
I
it'll
would
have
love
to
to.
be it'll probably be better off if it's a virtual one, just
Sure.
because of the technology. It's a little hard for you to in person, I would think, to have an iPad with 40 people sitting in the audience and seeing what's going on.
Yes.
Now
Yes. Oh, I would love to do that.
I'm working on changing that because I'd like to be able to do stuff like that and project it on a screen, large screen, so we could do
Yes.
a virtual with an artist, and show it in an actual meeting because one thing that's great about joining an art league like this is you have the
Hmm.
monthly meetings and you get to go and talk to the other artists and just conversations and find out what they're doing and what's new and everything. It's a good way to
Yeah.
uh, you know get to know more artists in the area.
Absolutely. Oh, I would
So,
love to. I would totally love to do it. Just email me or text me, whatever. I would love to.
well, I'll text you, I'll email you a membership form too. How about that?
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Definitely.
Okay, all right. Let's get back to talking about your work though, in general. Let's go back to your webpage here.
Sure.
First of all, is there anything that you'd like to discuss that would like to review or make comments about in your own work? I like this guy.
Nothing, not anything in particular. I guess it's the only thing that's been surprising to me doing art full time is, I guess not surprising, but it's just interesting because it's, drawing is a huge part of it to be an artist, but
Yeah,
there's so much of this, the online, the digital business, the dealing with the post office, the packaging, it's all this other stuff that I had no idea about that's been really hard to navigate. And it's it's half the day basically, and I finally like get to sit down and draw, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm supposed to be an artist and I don't even have time to draw. So that's really the only, it is kind of a lot of work to keep a page running, and I have this Facebook page, and I keep a Twitter page and a Instagram page also running. So it's an Etsy page. So it's just like once I draw something, that you'd think that is the work, and then it's like, well, now
yeah,
I got to make a listing, and I got to post it, and I got to caption it, and I got to, it's just it's a lot of extra work that I
yeah,
wasn't anticipating.
yeah. That's why I knew better than that. That's why I never tried to. I don't really make an effort to sell anything or get out there and known. I mean, I sell a few pieces each year, and that's enough for me. I like being in the shows, and I've been in shows around the country, uh, getting into juried shows. But there are places where, and you can get your own website and you can sell through your own website and stuff like that. And I look at it as far as, if I have to do all this mailing of the stuff and everything, and it's just, and then you got to get into the accounting and the record keeping and all that stuff. And
Yes.
I'm retired. I didn't retire to do a 40 hour work week again, or 80-hour work week
Exactly.
or whatever.
And
So
spreadsheets, and yes,
yeah, now,
totally.
now, now you're young enough. You can handle it.
Yes,
but
yes, I'm energetic right now, but
but
that's why I'm doing it now, because it's a lot
yeah.
to keep up
Oh yeah,
on. So I'm hoping to kind of set the groundwork, and then it'll be all in place and more, hopefully get easier as I do more.
yeah, yeah. I know of, one person was telling me this artist. I can't think of his name. Famous artist, sculptor, up around here in Antioch. Anyways, he made the comment that he didn't get famous and started really selling stuff until he got a business manager. And then that business manager was the one that went out and did all that stuff and allowed him time to actually work, on his sculptures and his paintings and stuff. So
Hmm.
maybe you should go out and look for a business manager.
I might have to
So
eventually.
someone to go out and do
Definitely.
that grunt work for you and stuff like that.
Oh, exactly. I try to set aside like at least 3 days to actually just sit down and draw and have full drawing days. Because I'm like, if I'm not drawing, none of this is. If I'm not making new stuff and being creative, then I might as well get a office 9 to 5, So
Yeah.
I try
Oh
to have
yeah.
a good balance.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Like I say, I'm retired. Ah, yeah, but it's fun. I mean, creating the artwork and everything is fun. And there are times when I wish I had the patience to sit down and actually learn to do the drawing and everything. And I do it every once in a while. I'll sit down, I'll draw something. But the digital media is just too easy to come up with things. And I've got pieces where they were nothing more than a result of me playing with Photoshop and then saying,
Hmm.
"Oh, this looks neat. I'm gonna," just like that background from the one I just showed you, the iris.
Yeah.
Okay, I was playing with it in Photoshop, and actually that the bottom part. Let's get that back up here a second. Yeah. Okay, this bottom part of this actually was one of a series of pictures because the original picture was a full vertical of a flower that I actually used in another abstract called Nightmare. And what I did is I wanted to show that flower melting, And so I use
Oh, wow.
Photoshop to just gradually bring that down and just roll it down, uh, and in different places. And so when you run the little video, you just see it just sort of melts. Uh, and
Yeah.
that's where I got this from. So
Wow.
it's just a matter of, I play with stuff like that, and I don't know if you do that too, and
Hmm.
I just see what it comes out. And sometimes
Ex-
it comes out, hey, this is neat. I'm going to use this. Most of the times it's, I don't know. Oh well. it was it
I
was
had fun.
fun playing. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And I think that needs to be the balance because I tell you, when I try to go in, when I like, if I set aside a day and I'm like, I need to do a drawing today, 9 out of 10 times it's not going to happen because I've put that pressure on myself. But then,
Yeah.
like, when I've decided I have, 10 minutes for the water to boil when I'm like making dinner or something, I'm like, wait, I have an idea. And then I'll run and start doing something. And then it comes out and it turns into something great. That's actually how the Iris woman started. I was
Ah.
making dinner and I was like, wait a minute, like I have a cool idea. It was the bottle that I started with, and then I kind of built
Yeah.
her around the bottle she's holding.
Ah.
And yeah, it's so fun to be able to play, and I that's how I kind of started, is just drawing organic shapes, and then when I see a face or a body come out of it, then I go from there.
Yeah. All right. Well, that sounds like it sounds like fun. And like I say, I really like the color combinations and the color palette you use. Uh,
Thank you.
it's great, and I'm looking forward to March over at Starline.
Me
Uh,
too.
I think I mentioned that before, and I'm going to mention it again just for anyone watching. It's Starling Factory Fourth Friday is March 25th. Danny and I and three other artists are going to be in the upstairs gallery all through March, really. And if you get a chance, like I say, it's a great time over there. A lot of fun.
It is.
Oh, the other neat thing too is oh, what do they call it? Uh, they have poets over there, and I forget what it's
Ooh.
called, and they just come up with just crazy poems on any subject, and it's really fun. That was another one of the things they had over there, and I wish I could think of what they called themselves. But for
Is
five
it
bucks,
slam poetry?
no, it's not really slam poetry. It's just
Okay.
they come up with something funny and weird. Uh,
Ooh.
and you pay $5. You give them a topic. You come back in half an hour, what have you, and they'll have a poem for you. And
Ooh, I'll have to try that. That's
they're
cool.
they're really good at it. We've done that. My wife did one uh, about me, and I'm not going to repeat it. Uh, but but it was fun. I mean, it's really great. So I can't rec yeah, I highly recommend Starline Factory. It's a little ways over there. If you're up in this area, I just tell people take 173 west until you hit the cow and you turn left, then turn right at the bridge.
Exactly.
And that's it. And people that
Totally.
know Harvard will know what I mean when I say you turn at the cow. So so
Yes, yes.
those
You
those are
can't
my
miss
directions.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So okay. All right. Well,
Great.
it's been fun talking to you. I'm glad you took the
Yes,
time, gave us the time,
absolutely.
and I will see you. Actually, we're going to work out getting your artwork over there in March over to the Starline, and so I will see you in a few days, and hopefully we'll
Yes,
have you at the fourth Friday too. So, all right.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.